The Sunday 9 o'clock meditation. Today we're going to do Sata Na Ma, and I just want to read what that means. Sa is the beginning, so it's going to be Sa Ta Na Ma, and you just keep doing that. It's actually good exercise for your fingers too. So Sa is the beginning, infinity, the totality of everything that ever was, is, or will be. Ta is life, existence, and creativity that manifests from infinity. Na is change and the transformation of consciousness. Ma is rebirth, regeneration, and resurrection, which allows us to consciously experience the joy of the infinite. Now, Sata Na Ma is so primal that its impact on our psyche is like splitting an atom. The power of this mantra comes from the fact that it rearranges the subconscious mind at the most elementary level. It has the power to break habits and addictions because it accesses the level of the mind where the habits are created. I do this every morning, and I put soundscape on, and sometimes I change the notes a little bit to go with what's going on, but just having that music behind it, it's just amazing. So, and that's on the television. But you don't have to have any music. Even if you had like a tabla CD that you played underneath it, or something that is just really mellow. It's the most amazing chant you can do, and it just cleans out all the stuff we're trying to get rid of so that we can be light beings walking on the planet, making the changes we need to help make to bring this planet into order. That is our mission, and that's what we need to do. So any petition, sign, do whatever you can inside. You don't need to go on the streets unless you are so, guided to, but it is the time to take action. Okay. Here we go. Sata Nama Sata Nama Sata Nama Sata Nama Sata
Good morning, everyone. This morning, I'd like to start with a section from the Master's Last Prayer. Can we have this PowerPoint up, please? This is from John chapter 17, verse 13. But now I am coming to thee, and these things I speak in the world, that they may have my joy fulfilled in themselves. I have given them thy word, and the world has hated them because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. I do not pray that thou should take them out of the world, but that thou should keep them from evil. I do not pray that thou should take them out of the world, but that thou should keep them from evil. And in some of your Bibles, it will be written, but thou should keep them from the evil one. The evil implied here is the evil of the world. And we need to know something about that. But how is it possible to be in the world but not of the world? What does it actually mean to be in the world and not of the world? It's a reference to the thinking of the world, which derives from the mass hallucination of ego-centered awareness. Listen, someone could actually say that the ego-centered awareness of the world in which we live is just a mass hallucination. Unfortunately, though, we're born into it, raised in it, conditioned to believe in it, educated in it, always with that premise that each of us is a separate body-mind in a world of separate others. This particular illusion of life generates all kinds of over-exaggerated self-interest and self-preservation. So, as long as we're operating in that particular level of awareness, then we will have that huge concern, the over-exaggerated self-preservation and personal self-interest. But in that isolated level of awareness, as an isolated body-mind in a world of separate phenomena and others that don't seem to have my personal self-interest at heart, there is that ongoing, continual fear. So, just imagine how this could be true in a world filled with multi-billions of people. I would ask this question: is there anyone in the world right now without a worry in the world? Is there anyone here that isn't worried about something? Raise your hand if you're not worried about anything. Because if you do raise your hand, you mean you're enlightened. But the unenlightened world, of which most of the people and the multitudes make up, are always worried about something. So you can honestly say that our lives are motivated by fear and concern almost continually. What kind of a life is that each of us is required to live? I like to equate that with something that happened to me many years ago. I was in a pet store buying some specialty things for my dog. And I happened to be looking around, and I saw that there was this large aquarium, a glass aquarium filled with white mice. Only the aquarium was right next to another glass aquarium. I mean, it abutted it, of a king snake. And then on the other side of that, was another aquarium with a bunch of regular house mice. And I confronted the kid in the store. I'm not sure he was the owner. I said, why do you have the mice living right next to the snake they can see? They're focused on the snake every day. It must be terrifying for them. He said, oh, they don't know any better. And I said, look at that aquarium. All the mice are facing the snake. And so it was a disastrous situation. I said, I'll give you $10 if you'll move those aquariums of the mice away from the snake. He said, I have too many snakes. I don't have that kind of room. He had other snakes in the place. He sold snakes and he carried on that way. He said, so the anxiety that was continual for the mice is like an equation of life as we live it in the ego-centered awareness. There's always that ongoing self-preservation fear, because we're so aligned with the physical body, the personal idea of self being the physical body. It's natural for us to want to protect the body and take care of the body to a certain degree, but you know, it's really strange how people are so locked up in that we are strictly this physical body. So what I call erroneous religion plays upon that and subsidizes itself on that. And truth goes begging in the streets, because the truth is that you're not strictly this physical body. You are a divine entity. You are one with God. And when you know that you are an eternal divine entity, one with God, a lot of the anxiety diminishes, because it's not your only life. And I think we had some good feedback from people who, when they took the series that I did about reincarnation, and people were saying, yeah, it just made me feel free. Made me feel free. What they're saying is free of fear. Because we've actually almost grown used to being anxious about life. We've grown used to it. It's like that's what we believe is reality. But it's not true. Now let me belabor the pet store analogy a moment with this. At some point, the white mice, which are for sale at $6 a piece. The gray mice on the other side, which he sells for people that have snakes and want to feed them, they're simply $2 a piece. Now, when he feeds the king snake or the bull snake that he's got there, he only feeds them the $2 mouse. He never feeds them the white mouse, because they are valuable. They're more valuable to be sold as pets. Now suppose these white mice who are terrified of the snake, suppose some mouse wakes up, a white mouse wakes up and realizes all the mice that snake has ever eaten are gray. It's not us. When he takes us out of the cage, we go over to the counter. He puts us in a little special cage, and he sells it. We go home with somebody. So one mouse woke up and he's trying to explain to the other mice, there's nothing to be afraid of. You're never going to be sacrificed to that snake. If they get that, if they finally get that, they won't be staring at the snake all the time. They'll be living their lives. And it is the truth about our own condition. When we have the awakened understanding of our eternal soul being, one with God, it shifts our vision completely. When people talk about having a religious experience, or they talk about grace, what happens is there is no divine intelligence withholding grace or withholding the vision of oneness with all life. That intelligence is not withholding that. It is blocked by our fear that we are only these separate physical bodies in a world of separate physical others and phenomena. It's blocked by that. Once that is released, once someone releases that through meditation or prayer or allowing, then there comes upon us a greater infilling of light, which we call grace or we call healing. But it bestows a huge divine peace in our awareness. And we live with a completely different purpose. The purpose that every truly spiritual minister and guru is trying to relate to everyone is this feeling of being one with everything, everything, absolutely everything you look upon as sacred because it's God. It's sacred because it's God. And when you are in that awareness, there is divine light flowing through you because you have now entered into the truth. Listen to it. You thought it was going to happen. Now listen. The truth that makes you free. It's not an intellectual truth. It's a truth about who you truly are. It's a recognition, an opening in the mind of your reality, of being a divine being going through a human experience. And when that is fully downloaded, you are in a state of beautiful, sacred peace. You can call it grace or you can call it whatever you want to. But that's what it is about. That's what happens to someone. So let me share this with you from the master, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Can we have this PowerPoint? You can read this in the Gospel of Emerson on page 10, paragraph 2. Let us hear this new truth. It is very old. It is the old revelation that perfect beauty is perfect goodness. It is the development of the wonderful attributes of the moral law of human nature. Let me enumerate a few. I don't know what that is. F. The remarkable properties of that nature. Okay, it's fine. Go back. No, don't leave me out here. Are you kidding? This is terrifying. The remarkable properties of that nature. A person contains all that is needful to the government within himself. He is made a law unto himself. All real good or evil that can befall anyone must be from himself. The purpose of life seems to be to acquaint each of us with himself. He's talking about the true self. And of course, in miracles, they would be capitalizing that self. We are not given to live for the future, but to live in the real future. by living in the real present, the highest revelation is that God is in every person. So, this is just another master who is putting out the words of truth so that we might actually embrace them to a certain place where we actually are seeking to live the moral law. Can I really be out of time already? Okay. So time is fleeting.
Can you see that clock over there?
I can't read
Did you
clocks.
just discover that? There's a clock there.
Are we going to have a spout? A split here? All right.
You can glance at it.
But I thought I had more time. I thought I was supposed to go till 25:2.
It's 25 too. Oh, I'm really early. Oh, I'm really early. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Proof once again that I never make a mistake. So, we are, if you could just take someone and say, look, be beautiful. To be beautiful, you must be good. You can tell a lot of people to be good, and they'll wonder what you're really talking about. How much can I get away with and still go to heaven? No. Be beautiful means to be good. But to be good, here it is. Here it is. Get ready for it. Take this with you. To be good is to recognize everyone and everything as sacred, part of God. You would not want to do anything or think anything in relationship to that which you look upon that you wouldn't want to have done to you or thought about you, because you know you are one with God. And the violation of that awareness holds you in bondage to fear, concern, and disease. I am sharing with you the rock bottom, simplest possible truth that will transform your life. But you have to get it. You have to want it enough to practice the spiritual practices so you catch yourself when you're operating from the unenlightened state of being, when you're operating from the me first, self-centered, fear-driven, individual body-mind. If you can't transcend that, let me say this to you. If you can't transcend that, go to New York City or go to Hollywood and try to become a movie star and make a lot of money, because you'll at least have, those days and weeks where you'll feel okay. Because in our youth, it's true. In our youth, we have what the Star Trek series used to have. Remember on the big Star Trek ship, they had the holodeck. On the holodeck, you could have any fantasy you want. You went inside and had this fantasy. In our youth, we're still on the holodeck, and it's okay to carry on in your fantasies. But at some point, the concern, by the way, never goes away. The idea of being simply a body-mind that is going to perish, and in a world of separate, disinterested conditions, you have that fear that will always be rising up. And then the older you get, the more you have these concerns. So look at what we do. We try to make more money. This is in the unenlightened state. We're always trying to make more money. And we have to buy more insurance for everything we own. Can you imagine the madness of living in that way? They're trying to sell you insurance for everything. And you buy it. Well, I buy it. Something goes wrong, I'll at least have the money. So let's take a look again at the Master Ralph Waldo Emerson's truth. And we have this next PowerPoint. You can read this in the Gospel of Emerson, page 40, paragraph 3. The lessons of the moral sentiment are, once and for all, an emancipation from that anxiety which takes the joy out of all life. It teaches a great peace. It comes itself from the highest place. It is that which, being in all sound natures, strongest in the best and most gifted people we know, to be implanted by the Creator of all. It is a commandment at every moment and in every condition of life to do the duty that moment and to do the duty of that moment and to abstain from doing any wrong. It is so near and inward and inspirational to each that no commandment can compare with it in authority. All wise humans regard it as the voice of the Creator himself. I'll take that back again. It might be the moral sentiment at the core of our nature, the core of our being, is the nature divine. And it has a moral sentiment to look upon everything as part of yourself, your true self. For it is God, and God is your true self. The lessons of the moral sentiment are, once and for all, an emancipation, a freedom from that anxiety which takes the joy out of all life. It teaches a great peace. It comes itself from the highest place. It is that which, being in all sound natures and strongest in the best and most gifted people we know, to be implanted by the Creator of all. It is a commandment at every moment and in every condition of life to do the duty of that moment and to abstain from doing any wrong. And it is so near and inward and inspirational to each that no commandment can compare with its authority. All wise humans regard it as the voice of the Creator himself. This is the still small voice, and I'm going to give you one word to take with you. I'll give you two words to take with you. What I'm about to say is in the average world, the regular, unenlightened world, the most fearful two words in the entire English language. This is good conscience. The money-driven psychologists down through the ages have tried to alleviate that as part of the human experience. Get rid of that because it only brings guilt. No, no. Good conscience doesn't bring guilt. It brings guidance. If you want to know the still small voice of God, then you tune into good conscience. It's violating good conscience that brings guilt. So what the pop psychologists have tried to do is say, oh no, you shouldn't have that. You shouldn't be guilty. Don't worry about conscience. It's just a problem. It's not a problem because evolution toward the enlightened state of being a universal being, evolution requires good conscience. You can't grow. There'll be people who say, well, that's overblown, it's too much, it makes you afraid to really live your life the way you want to live it. I'm not talking here about license. I'm talking about freedom. There's a difference between license, in which people think, well, freedom is being able to do whatever you want to do, etc. No, that's not freedom. That's insanity. That's selfishness personified. If you want life and you want it abundantly, tune into what your heart really feels when it speaks to you. So in living your life, you have this constant guide. Just tune into it. And that's it. If you don't have that yet, just use the golden rule. Do unto everything that lives whatever you would have everything that lives do unto you. If you don't like having a really bad life and terrible things going in your life, I'm telling you, a lot of the terrible things leave. So many of them leave when you're in good conscience, because you have become an emissary of divine light. You're someone that is now bestowing peace. You're emanating peace to everything around you, because we're all connected. You've joined God in God's plan for a new, enlightened humanity. So I'm going to conclude this, because my partner will be back here in a couple of minutes. Oh, I'm already over. I've got to do this fast. Can I have this last overhead, please? Last PowerPoint. This is from Stillness Speaks. Master Eckhart told, most people spend their entire life imprisoned within the confines of their own thoughts. They never go beyond a narrow, mind-made, personalized sense of self that is conditioned by the past. In you, as in each human being, there is a dimension of consciousness far deeper than thought. It is the very essence of who you are. We may call it presence, awareness, the unconditioned consciousness. In the ancient teachings, it is the Christ within you, or your Buddha nature. He's saying it all. That is the Creator within. That is the Christ within. That is the moral sentiment. The moral sentiment. And we thought you could throw out morality. We could actually legislate against morality. We could stop people from having a moment of silence in schools for children, because it's like you're trying to lead them towards something that we're not teaching here. What we are teaching is the rugged individualism of the body-mind itself. That's what we're teaching in school, and as long as we are teaching that, we don't want anybody taking time out to maybe have a fleeting moment of the joy of being a universal soul going through a human experience. So, once again, we'll practice our presence with our beautiful Tibetan bowls. And just sitting here, being okay with ourselves at last. Just be totally okay, because even if you're not enlightened, you're still okay as far as the universe goes. You may just have to live a little longer to learn who you really are. So as we do this, just relax into the whole idea of being here, being alive, and being able to know. And when we get to that period of silence, if you don't have a particular meditation technique, you may just want to tune into this whole concept. There is only one everything. Only one. In you, in me, in everything we see. There is only one. Only one. Only God. As we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space, let's go forth with a greater determination to be awake in our living, awake to serve the moment in the inspiration of our divinity. And for this opportunity in every moment, we give thanks. To this we say, Amen. We have Easter tickets in the office. If you want to attend the Easter service, you have to sign up because we are still operating under the COVID restrictions. And we can only put, I don't know how many it is right now, but I think we can put 100 people in here, but that's it. So if you want to attend the Easter service, stop in the office and sign up. We will.
There's 2 services, right? 9 and 11.
Yeah, there'll be 2 services at 9 and 11. So let us now take an offering for unity. Bring to mind that financial gift you'd like to make so that we can continue to do the spiritual work that we do here at Unity of Boulder. And those of you that are watching this online, on screen, you can find a place on your screen to donate, or you can use any one of these particular ways to donate to Unity of Boulder. So let us bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to make, and let's bless it with this affirmative prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is.
Mother, I hear your heart beat. Hey-ya, 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 hey-yo. Hey-ya, 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 hey-yo. Father, I see you where eagles fly. Spirit's gonna take me higher. Spirit gonna take me higher. Hey-ya, 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 hey-oh. Hey-ya, 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 hey-yo. Hey-ya, 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 hey-yo. Hey-ya, 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 hey-yo.
Okay, tell your friends to come to our Easter service. We've got plenty of room. And the Good Friday service is amazing too. So, come in person. Get in touch.
Thank You for This Day, Spirit by Karen Drucker, and it's a call and response. So I'd love you all to stand up. I'm going to sing a little intro, and then I'll get into the call and response part. Just follow these guys and follow me, and let's have some fun.
So so grateful.
I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
So grateful.
So grateful.
So I want to say thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day.
Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day.
Last time. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Yeah.
Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day.
All right, yeah, that is the end of that song. All right. Thank you all so much. All right.
Well, that's some rousing good music there. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Hey, look, we just entered spring. Isn't it amazing? And in entering spring, we're in a period now of renewal. And it does look like right now we're going to be over this COVID virus thing in July sometime, maybe the end of July. Isn't that a phenomenal thing to look forward to? But in the process of spring, let's become keenly aware of nature. Wherever you look today, be aware of nature. If you look at an animal and watch an animal doing what it does, you'll see that it has no opinion about itself. It's just directly in the present moment, always just doing what it feels like it needs to do or can do. And when you get in touch with that, Eckhart Tolle, the master, tells us if you get in touch with just watching an animal, you watch a dog, what he does, you watch a cat, you listen to a cat purr. He said it can actually bring you right into this sacred moment, the sacred reality that we're seeking to be enlightened. And to be enlightened is simply to be in that sacred awareness. And that sacred awareness has one key. When you enter it, you immediately feel gratitude for life. And you can enter it by having gratitude for life. So in the spring, in this renewal period, what we're going to do, we're going to practice gratitude, being aware, and being aware when we're not in a state of gratitude, and bring ourselves into that. So let's be looking at nature and the simplicity and the beauty and the sacredness of life and feel that gratitude. That's what real life and true life is all about. You're going to love this talk by Syntysche.
Good morning, everyone. Just want to welcome you all to Unity Boulder here in person, and those of you who are watching online. We're happy to have all of you. I want to let everyone know what's going on for Easter. Starting next Sunday, we're going to have our first service in our Trinity of Holy Services for our Easter season. We'll start with Palm Sunday, and that'll be at both our 9 and our 11 a.m. service. That will be live and online. Jack will be leading both of them, so come on out for that or watch us online. And following that will be our Good Friday service, which we are doing in person and online at 7 p.m. Not this Friday, but the following Friday. And that's 7 p.m. No tickets needed for that. But then finally, Easter. We are having live Easter services right here in the sanctuary, and we are also doing it online. But if you'd like to see it live in person, we're doing it at 9 and 11 a.m. on Easter Sunday. You do need to get tickets, and we're not handing out tickets freely like we usually do for Christmas and Easter in the past because we can't. We have a limited capacity. So we are asking that if you do get tickets, make sure you do plan on using them, but you do need to get them in the bookstore, or you can call us on the phone to reserve a ticket, and we are taking down names and tickets, and if you do reserve your ticket on the phone, there will be a will call the night of, but our Easter show this year will feature our acclaimed Unity band and our wonderful Unity soloists. So please come on out for that. It is going to be fantastic. And Todd, I'd like to have you come on up here and introduce our musical guest.
So our guest today has been here a few times since I started out directing this thing in September. And I asked earlier, Steve, what would you like me to say about you and Al Hager? And Steve said, over 25 years, he and Al have been making music together and having fun making music here in Boulder. And what brought them together was the natural products industry. So we're going to have a little bit of fun today with these guys and amp up that energy a little bit. Steve Hoffman, Al Hager, please welcome them to our stage. Thank you.
Hello, happy first day of spring, everybody. And gratitude is our attitude. As I walk through this wicked world, searching for light in darkness of insanity, I ask myself, is all hope lost? Is there only pain and hatred and misery? And each time I feel like this inside, one thing I wanna know, yeah, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Oh, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? As I walk on through troubled times, my spirit gets so downhearted sometimes. Where are the strong? Who are the trusted? Where is the harmony? Sweet harmony. And each time I feel it slipping away, just makes me wanna cry. Yes, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Oh, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? So where are the strong? Who are the trusted? Where is the harmony? Sweet harmony. And each time I feel it slipping away, it just makes me wanna cry. Yes, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Oh, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Oh, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the service. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you. It's a wonderful, lively way to start. This morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity, and welcome everyone that's joining us on live stream. It's so good to be back here in the sanctuary. Last week we had weather that was really, it's the first time we've ever not had a live service on a Sunday due to weather, but this storm was just like the perfect storm, and it just hit Boulder the morning of last Sunday. And Mike and I live out in the country, and so our power went out right when the service was supposed to start last week at 9 o'clock. So I was so glad that I wasn't eating crow, closing the place. There was like this pressure because I had everybody take the day off, and then it was like, oh, the storm's coming, oh, it's not coming, oh, it's coming. It was just like, how do you make these decisions? How do you make this call? And we had decided to take some pre-recorded sermons that Jack and I had given, and we were going to play them live stream from our home. And right when we were about to start the live stream from our home, our power went out. And we go running into the car, and we hop on 36, which had not been plowed, and it was the worst roads I've ever seen out there. We drove for 2 seconds, and Mike said, this is way too dangerous for us to drive to Boulder to pull this off. So I called an old friend of mine. I said, hey, Ed, are you awake? Because he lives in Lyons. Is there any way you have internet right now? And he said, yeah, I do. And he said, come on over. And so we went over to his house, and we were able to live stream right on time. We were about 5 minutes late starting the first service. But it was just this angel, that I just felt, oh, he lives in Lyons, and maybe because he lives in Lyons proper, they are actually on the city electric, whereas we aren't. We're on something different that wasn't working for 24 hours. So that was just a wonderful experience, and he made us breakfast. We're in this beautiful mansion. I mean, it was just a wonderful morning, warm, and then we had to go back to our freezing house. But it was really an interesting weekend last weekend. So today's talk is a continuation of the talk that I gave 2 weeks ago that I had promised I'd be giving this last Sunday, but didn't get a chance to. And the talk title is, Do You Want to Get Well? Which is from John 6, when Jesus asks a paralytic if he really wants to get well. This talk is going to be moving on. The last sermon I was talking about the generation and the degeneration and the regeneration process of the human and spiritual experience. That every Bible story that comes from Jesus' life and his teachings is about us. Yes, we can look at them historically, and they're very moving, and they touch us, but how do we apply the stories to our life? And that's what unity is all about. This whole sermon is really about the philosophy of unity and the philosophy of Jesus' teachings, because that's what we follow, is what he said he could do and what he did do. Beyond that, we study the Bible, but most importantly, Jesus is really the way shower of what we're all capable of being, and that's what we study. So there's this great book that I showed a few weeks ago. It's called the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and this was written by Charles Fillmore, who is the co-founder of Unity with his wife Myrtle. And you can pretty much look up any word like sin or resurrection or names, and you can find the metaphysical meaning of the word so that you can apply the teachings directly into your life now, which is a powerful study, and it's so interesting. So, back in the day, Jack used to teach Bible interpretation classes where he would teach you how to do this whole process. And today I'm going to do the best I can with sharing some of the stories in the Bible and how it pertains to our life now. But in every moment, we have the ability to claim our divinity, right? And we can claim it in this moment, or we can look to the ills of the past and claim what is not working and what is not right and keep manifesting that. And we can also then plant a seed and create the past into tomorrow and live in a stuck, blocked place in life, or we can claim our divinity and transform anything that is not serving our life, right? So God said, there's going to come a day when I'm going to shake the world, but some things will not be shaken. Some things remain. In other words, there's coming a time when the world will be pressed and there will be no way out. Those times come in your life, in your home, tension, friction, financial trouble. You are pressed, and it doesn't seem like there is a way out. There is an answer. There is a way. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. I am the way, the truth, and the light. He wasn't saying, I am the only way. I am the example of the way, the truth, and the light that you can express in you. I am an example of what you are. I am not the only devoted child of God. You are all the children of God. I am the demonstration. I am the way shower. If we looked to the miracles that he worked, we would wake up and stop speaking to that which is not serving and step into our faith. That there is always something greater at hand with which we are facing, good, bad, and indifferent. Everything is a teacher. Everything is growing this soul that is supposed to be in divine alignment with this greater power, this greater love we call God. Catherine Ponder says, thoughts of your mind have made you what you are, and thoughts of your mind will make you what you become from this day forward. Thoughts of your mind have made you what you are, and thoughts of your mind will make you what you become from this day forward. So, we can think of some of the empowering thoughts you've been holding in your mind, or we can think of some of the disempowering thoughts you've been holding in your mind. In either way, you will see a direct correlation of what is playing out in your life. You can't hide from self. You can't hide from an unhealed self, and you can't hide from a healed self. It's up to us. The way shower showed us that we have abilities that we don't tap into because we believe in the world in the reflection of things that say that we can't change things, like the Bible saying, there will come a day where you will feel pressed. What's interesting is that we all collectively found days in the last year where we all collectively felt pressed. We weren't just alone in feeling pressed. We all have different times in life before COVID, which was somebody's going through a divorce, somebody's lost a child, somebody has lost their job. So they were individually in their own nucleus experiencing being pressed and feeling like they can't move out of it. And there was other people that were flying and life was great. And so they could reflect back that, no, you can move out of this. We can comfort the other one that's falling to this pressedness. But when we all fell into the pressedness and then were shoved into isolation, we were in that time. We were going to look at our home. We were going to look at our relationships. We were going to look at our parenting. We were going to look for our vocation, and are we liking it? Are we feeling fulfilled? Are we doing and demonstrating that which we know we were called to be and do? All of the above. And some people went into meditation and took that time to cultivate a spiritual practice within all that time with self. And some people went to the cabinet and ate a lot of food. And some of us did both. You just keep standing at that pantry going, isn't food going to appear in here somehow? Like cookies, like Thin Mints? I don't know. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's written that one should raise the self with self, not trample down the self. We tend to judge ourselves and put ourselves down when we aren't living up to a certain standard that was usually put in front of us before we even made a standard for ourselves. And quite often it was from childhood, a parent or the teacher, the person that raised you, the person that basically was your God as human in that early part of life before we recognized there was this greater something. Because when we came in, we were at generation. Okay, so we're talking about generation, degeneration, and then the regeneration of the human and spiritual experience. When we entered this life, There was no differentiating between this spiritual life and this human life. It was one. We were the isness of God. That's all we were. Just pure perfection, pure love. And then life gave us our parents, grandparents, whoever held that role. And depending on how healed they were as people, we were taught how to see life through the lenses that they taught us. And then we either flew from those experiences and recognized and could we could discern what worked for us and what didn't work, or we just did what they said and we go on in life and maybe aren't as happy as they were. We might just kind of repeat the same thing, or we said we'd never be just like them and we do the exact opposite and became rebellious. It's whatever. But when it comes down to it, something happened where we lost that connection of just being the isness of this greater power, this greater love. That's why we would cry and we'd get breast milk. We would cry and we'd get a toy. Everything was think and have. When we come from the spirit world, it's think and have. It's just immediate, immediate, immediate. We knew we could do something and there was a response to it. But then we get these teachers in school, parents, that might have not been healed enough, and they started to tell us that we were fragmented, that there's things to be scared of. You got to do this to make success happen. You have to do this to be successful in this world so that you'll be accepted. In the Bible, it says, "Thou shalt thank the Lord thy God in all things." Thou shalt thank the Lord thy God in all things. And when you're going through a time like we all went through in the last year, or the difficult times we've lost a spouse or a child, or the most awful things that you could possibly experience in the human life, we ask, how could we be expected to thank God in all things? Even in tragedy, even in persecution, even in the divide socially and ethically in our country, and with the color of people's skin and their religion, and all of this hate that we see in this world is separating one by one. I mean, every day we're seeing a different piece that's separated and feeling cut off from this greater whole. And it's interesting because this pressure that we were told was going to happen to all of us, this pressure is cracking open a system that no longer worked. It's exciting, right? It's awful to watch and really know the truth of what was happening to the different races in this country, because we were white and we were walking in this world with blinders on. How could we know? We didn't walk 1,000 miles in their moccasins, as Native Americans say. You don't ever know what's going on in somebody's life unless you walk in their moccasins for 1,000 miles. But we thought we would understand what an Asian person was going through when we had a president calling a disease or a pandemic after their race and making fun. They've lost businesses like you can't even imagine. Or Black Lives Matter, doing peaceful protesting. There are so many causes that have come out. Women's rights, whatever your sexual decisions are. It's like all of this, if you're male, female, if you're something different, we're looking and we're realizing that we're just not black or white or anything. We are everything. And even in that, we are all one. So we have to give thanks when there's even difficult times, which if you watch the news right now, we are in difficult times. But nothing changes unless something cracks at the core of a system that does not work. Everything that's been stuffed underneath the carpet for so long that did not work is now coming out. The rug got thrown away. And we're getting to witness one of the most powerful times as far as social justice in this world. The environment still has a lot to go on, and we need to work on. However, nothing is getting away with it anymore. Ethics are returning. Wholeness and equality for all inclusion is returning. And all these things have had to take tragedies for us to see it. So to thank the Lord your God in all things, to break a system that does not work, does take hardship. And a lot of us have been through hardship in the last year. Put your hand up if this last year was difficult for you. Right, so pretty much everybody put their hand up. And when we go through hardship, it deepens our compassion and empathy, for not only for ourselves, but for others. Our eyes get wider, and we almost become like children again, because we're navigating through uncharted territories, and we all are. Have you noticed people talking to you in grocery stores, even with their masks on, and just sharing things that are, you know, in the old days, you'd be like, well, that's a random thing. I don't even know why that person shared that with me. Right? I have that going on all the time, but I used to kind of think stupid things like that. And now it's just like I cherish it. I cherish our need to connect and to smile. Like a lady passed me walking, and she accidentally forgot to put her mask back on as she was passing me, and she cussed about it in front of my daughter. And Kathy goes, oh my gosh, did you just hear it? But she said the S-H word. And I was like, I love it. I love it. She was real. And she got caught off guard that she'd never masked on, and I didn't make her feel bad about it. Right? Like, it's just, it's that, you know, where, how many times have you walked in a grocery store and you're like, oh my God, I forgot my mask, and you go run into your car? Because we don't want to accept this. Because this is unacceptable. This is difficult. So, in all things, we still have to thank the Lord. How do we do that? Why would Spirit ask, even command something so hard? It is truly an invitation to stretch our souls, similar to the commandment to love our enemies, which could be called the higher law of love. We're asked to stretch ourselves. When we are feeling constricted, we have to find a new way, and we have to surrender into that which is being birthed in us, which is change. And change is the hardest thing that we have to do. It's unnatural. We have such an OCD world. We want to know what the plan is, and everything is, you know, we go to the same coffee shops, we do everything the same way, and all of a sudden everything got unearthed. Oh no, you're going to sit at home and work. Well, do you have to still get up and get dressed and take a shower and do all the things you normally did? And all of a sudden, all just the normalcy that kept you on the straight and narrow, it's all unraveling. Oh, whoa, there's self, this vulnerable self that doesn't have this containment of what the world said I'm supposed to do, and I'm melting. Or you're like, yeah, I don't have to do what the whole world told me I have to do. I get to do what I want to do. It's all perspective. It's all perspective. So when we were first born, we knew we were directly connected with Spirit, with the Christ light, the Buddha. This is generation. Whatever makes you feel hugged, it wasn't anything, it was just pure love. Our childhoods play a big part in staying in generation. Or the degeneration process of being connected with Spirit is relying on those who reflected back to us our wholeness or not. See, people naturally emulate what was given to them, shown to them as their childhood instructors. So, if you had a parent that didn't feel well all the time, spoke to their headaches, their aching bodies, their good day or bad day, due to the whether they felt good or not physically, you probably have learned and emulated that you get to show up to life sometimes and you don't show up to life sometimes because you get to use headaches, body aches, And you'll even probably manifest diseases and things like that because that's how you're taught how to face hardships of life. You had a way to dictate and control life by working with a physical body that didn't function well. Or you had a parent that jumped at every scratch on your knee, every tumble as if you fell off the top of a building. They rushed in and they overtook care of you for every little tiny thing and made you feel that the world was scary. Oh, and it's dangerous. Oh, and you don't want to put your hand in the dirt because there's dirty. You don't want to climb the tree because you could rip your nice pants. And so then you were taught that this beautiful environment, this beautiful life is dangerous because Mommy wouldn't be there to catch all those scrapes and those burns. You weren't taught that something greater was always protecting you, regardless of those scrapes and burns, that you would make it through those things. I remember meeting with a young woman who was a niece of a lady that passed away of cancer years back. And she was putting on the memorial for her aunt who did pass too early in her late 40s. And she kept calling me about each detail, this detail, that detail, the slideshow, this. And she said to me, you know, Syntysche, I was raised in a long line of worriers. So I just want to make sure that everything is, right for my aunt and da-da-da-da. And she went on and on and on, and I didn't hear anything past that. I was raised in a long line of worriers. Well, I wonder what happened to your aunt then. Right? When you were raised in unity, which I was, we were raised to speak to our power, speak to our health, even if we didn't feel good, speak to our wholeness, speak to that which God gave us, not what the world is showing us, right? So I was raised in a household that was super not coddled for having a flu, a cold, a scrape. It was, you're tough. You're tough. You have a bloody knee. All right, well, go get some castor oil or get some lavender, put it on there, and get Band-Aids. There was no coddling and kissing. And, oh, you don't feel good. Which, we could have used a little bit more of that. A little. Like a little, oh, you just fell off your bike and took out both your kneecaps. You're tough. Either way, your parents are going to screw up, right? No matter what. We'll look back and there's always something. Now all three of my kids are at an age where they get to point out where I screwed up. It's fun. It is everybody says, wait till you have teenagers. My 24-year-old was such an easy teenager, I thought I was just going to skirt through. Then I got 2 teenagers at the same time now. Oh my goodness. I am not perfect, clearly. Thought I did a great job. Obviously, I wasn't perfect. Or your parent was a scholar, always going after the next degree in their particular line of work, not much time for you, but looked for advancing themselves in their scholarly life and received a lot of kudos for it, or demanded that you gave them strokes for all this. You probably received the message that by your always reaching and advancing in your studies is a way to receive love and attention, and could find yourself lonely, even in marriages one day with children, when you grew up because you didn't learn how to healthily give and receive love for just the majesty that you are. You had to achieve love. Do you see where I'm going with all this? Right? So who had the scholarly parent? So you got 2 of those. Who had the parent that coddled you through pain and illness? Yeah. Who had the parent that didn't give you any attention when you hurt? Wow, we got the most hands on that one. So, do you see how divinely connected we are? And we all can relate with all of the above, right? Because in the end, we were all told scholarly ways was going to make us happy. That was something that just kind of was an overarching importance. The more educated we were, the more money we were going to be, the more we would be accepted, right? And then how many people have I counseled on that other side that have lost their marriage and their children because they had no idea how to cultivate a family and love a family and nurture a family, and that workaholics is an aholic, is an addiction, right? Eventually, we don't need any more of these laws to guide us to our blazing, awakened hearts. We are merged with truth of our being. So that's the degeneration. So the generation is our perfection in the isness of God. Then there's the story that somehow told us there was something we had to achieve to then get favor with people, but also with God, supposedly. Then, that's the degeneration. Then the regeneration is, oh, I'm a perfect child of God. What does that mean? I'm a perfect child of God, because the Bhagavad Gita is saying you have to raise self with self. How would you raise self with a broken self? We raise self from the higher consciousness self that reaches for the broken self to merge with this higher consciousness. Since the archaeological discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1946, the word Essene has made its way around the world, often raising a lot of questions. Many people were astonished to discover that 2,000 years ago, a brotherhood of holy men and women living together in a community carried within themselves all of the seeds of Christianity and of future Western civilization. This brother and sisterhood, more or less persecuted and ostracized, would bring forth people who would change the face of the world in the course of history. Indeed, almost all of the principal founders of what would later be called Christianity were Essenes. St. Anne, Joseph, and Mary, John the Baptist, Jesus, John the Evangelist, and it goes on from there. But we don't hear about the Essene, and we don't hear about meditation so much, and we don't hear about life after death, and we don't hear about all these things that they were raised in this Essene culture. The Essenes considered themselves to be a separate people, not because of external signs like skin color, hair color, etc., but because of the illumination of their inner life and their knowledge of the hidden mysteries of nature unknown to other people, is what I'd like to say right there. They considered themselves to be also a group of people at the center of all peoples, because everyone could become part of it as soon as they had successfully passed the selective tests. So there was an upbringing, there was meditation, there was opening the third eye, there was the recognition that there's 5 senses, but there's the 6th sense that can be grown, and actually completely grown from an early stage because we come in with it. We have a direct connection between this veil of this physical life and the spiritual life, where we go after we pass away. That was cultivated from the very beginning, so there was no question whether we had a direct connection to God or not. They sat in meditation. They remote viewed. They knew how to heal each other. They knew how to visualize. They knew how to heal from an inner knowing and healing love. They knew how to put hands on each other like Reiki. That's what the Essenes were about, was about creating a spiritual sister and brotherhood. And they made quite a stamp in the Bible. But they never really told us in the Bible the measures that they had taken to understand this truth. They just showed us how to do it. They showed us that they could do it. But how do we do it? When you study the unity philosophy, it's right within what the Essenes were taught. We don't idolize some separate Jesus to have a direct connection with God. This idea that he died for our sins, what good does that do for us? Jesus died for our sins, so when we came in, we have to baptize babies because they came in as sinners. Think about this. What does that do to our conscious beings? There's something wrong with you right from the very beginning. And Jesus died for your sins. It doesn't make you feel hard and squishy and it's like a horror story. And these people were not only taught by their mothers and their sisters and all of these people that were in this beautiful basic commune that they were raised in, that they had been entrusted with a spiritual mission. So Jesus was raised as an Essene, meaning he was taught from day one that he had and harbored the abilities that he shared with the world. Who taught him that? His mom. She was a part of this community. Mary showed him that you are the way, the truth, and the light. It was a woman telling her son, look at all you can do. You go out there. God has your favor because God is you, son. And you can go heal them and show them that there's this greater power, this greater wisdom, this greater love within them, if they choose to believe it. So now I'm going to break down a Bible story for you metaphysically. John 5, the healing at the pool. Sometime later, Jesus went up to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish festivals. Now there is in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered porches. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I am trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." Then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk." At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. The metaphysical interpretation of John 5, Jerusalem, which is in orange. When you look up Jerusalem in this Bible dictionary, it means habitation of peace. So when Jerusalem is mentioned, it's a state of peace. Bethesda, in Aramaic, is the point in consciousness where we feel the flow of the cleansing life of spirit and made new by the activity of the mind. The pool represents purification. The 5 covered porches represent the 5 senses that the mind operates from. Notice it's not 6, it's 5. Invalids, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed are referring to those who are limited to the 5 sense perceptions of the world. Invalid here means they are not whole yet, still believe in childhood instructors, parents. The water being stirred up represents a clear aha moment. When we have that moment where time stops and says, this is what you need to do, that clear aha moment. Break this negative consciousness and you know that something will shift. The stirring up is that miracle when God just speaks to you. And then Jesus asks, do you want to get well? It would seem to be the most absurd question ever asked. But he is speaking to this man's soul. Many people profess that they want to be healed, but underneath it all have attachments to their limited story or limited thought process of themselves. They use that as an excuse to stay stuck because they're scared of change. You have to be brave to be in this spiritual work. You have to be willing to jump off that cliff spiritually and know that God will catch you, guide you, and land you. These limitations that the mind dwells upon that keeps it in bondage to false ideas. Then he goes, oh, but somebody always goes in front of me when I want to go in the water. This is the excuse phase, the negative chatter in your mind that talks you out of your own ability to heal. And so you make excuses. Someone else's God is more powerful than my own. So I've just been laying here for 38 years. Thoughts set in mind create after their kind. One of the 5 basic principles of unity, right? Then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat and walk." At once the man was cured. He picked up his mat and walked. In the New Testament, Jesus represents the Christ within spiritual truth of us. That transcends the mental limitations that come to us when we see ourselves as strictly 5-sense beings. Thus, the Christ in us is not just our hope of glory, it is our hope for wholeness and healing. Does that make sense? This little ditty right here will change your life. You will read this Bible in a very different way. And all those stories that you memorized as a kid in your Christian church will have a very different meaning when you work with this work. It is so powerful, so applicable, so amazing. Later in the story, it states, later, Jesus found the man he healed at the temple and said to him, "See, you are well again. Stop sinning or something worse may happen to you." Why would he say this? Stop sinning. He's just laying there on his mat by the pool. Stop sinning or something worse will happen to you. Okay, in the Bible dictionary, Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, what is sin? Metaphysical meaning of sin: missing the mark, falling short of the divine law. It's a departure from the law of our being. Your sinning is the error. It's not that you did something bad before you came here and so Jesus died on the cross for our sins. Your sinning is you speaking out of that which is what your innate abilities are, which is wholeness, healing, and truth. He was the way shower of miracles that we can make in our own lives and for others. Those demonstrations were not for people to read about 2,000 years ago and then they just stopped. If we would just stop sinning, then we won't have any more of these difficult things that are happening in our life happen again. How do we do that? How can we do that? And even with all the compassion and love and empathy that Jesus relayed through the miracles he demonstrated, his life still ended short, with the Jewish leaders demanding that he be put to death. And it was the Romans that physically crucified Jesus. And the first statement of the last 7 statements Jesus made from the cross, in Luke 23, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." If you look at this metaphysically, and this is about us, the Romans were so afraid of this beauty, so afraid of this higher developed self in this being, so untangible because it wasn't in their wheelhouse, in their anything. They couldn't possibly see that this could be possible, that this man is telling the truth, that I am the way, the truth, and the light. I will give you life abundantly. I will give you health. I will give you money. I will give you everything that you need. I'll give you your partner. I'll give you everything. If you just only believe that you were a child of God and you are so deeply loved by this universe. But you don't know why you do this to yourselves. You crucify yourselves from this greatness. Forgive us, Father, for we don't know why we do these things to ourselves. In the last statement Jesus made from the cross, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Let's take that into our own heart right now. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. That takes us out of all the five senses. We can just lap ourselves into the arms of this greater power, this greater love. We don't have to know why we've done all this ill will stuff to ourselves. All we have to do is let it go. Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Thank you.
Wow. Another powerful sermon from the lady in the flowered dress. I can tell you this, never, while she was growing up, that I ever imagined she would be up on an altar sharing these in-depth spiritual Bible truths. And it's so amazing to watch this. But she has taken to heart, the truths that she's talking about, and she has opened her own consciousness, her own mind, and she shares openly with you the truths that she is attempting herself to live by. And that's what makes an effective teacher, one who lives the truth they're attempting to impart. And you can tell when people aren't there. Some people use a lot of words, fancy words, a lot of quotes, but they don't actually have the essential part of it, which is they're not attempting truthfully to live what they're sharing. And she is, and that's why it's so effective. So having received this beautiful message today, let us also be open to give back so that we can continue the work that we're doing here at Unity of Boulder. So I'd like to say to all of you out there who are watching on a screen, we have all these different ways that you can tithe. If you don't see the little tag on your screen that you can hit, and you can tithe directly right now, you can go to one of these situations and use that. So bring to mind what it is, what financial gift you'd like to make to Unity of Boulder, and let's bless that gift in mind with this affirmative prayer. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give. And so it is. Amen. Oh, wait. Nicole's the same.
That was a powerful sermon. Thank you very much. All right. Well, we're going to rock you guys on out of here.
Everybody ready?
light shine down. Where love is in the water, love is in the air. Show me where to look, tell me will love be there? Will love be there? Yeah, teach me how to speak, teach me how to share. Show me where to go, tell me will love be there? Will love be there? Oh, yeah. 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 Oh, heaven let your light shine down. Oh, heaven let your light shine down. Oh, heaven let your light shine down, down on me. Oh, heaven let your light shine down. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, heaven let your light shine down. Oh, heaven let your light shine down. Oh, heaven let your light shine down, down on me. Oh, heaven let your light shine down. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Let's give
Let
it
your
up.
light shine down. Happy spring.
Give it up for Steve Hoffman and Al Hager and Todd over there on electric. Yeah, and the whole Unity band. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. You're rocking the house. Love it. All right, well, that completes our service. We have prayer partners available to you if you're facing a challenge today and you'd like to pray with somebody. We have a prayer partner over here. He's got a sash on and one right here. You guys can stand up. You can stay seated in your seats and they'll come and find you if you would like to be prayed with today, and they will come find you right after the service. So we have fellowship after the service in the fellowship hall, so you could go over there and meet Jack. I won't be able to go over there today. I have to work on music for Easter, but we got an amazing production coming up for Easter. There's a service at 9 and 11. You have to have tickets for it, so you can pick them up in the bookstore right after this service. All right, let's all rise and close with a closing song.
I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm going to God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I sing alive. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm going to God.
Good one.